Hello and welcome everyone. It's a bright shining day here in Irvine. Welcome to the NASEF Community Day where we're going to be having a lot of fun stuff going on. Most notably our top 8, our Overwatch High School Scholastic Tournament Finals, where the top 4 teams will be going up against each other to be looking forward to be crowning themselves the #1 contender here today. As always, I am Anthony the Last Mohican Ortega. Today I'm being joined by Zerocious, some talent from the high school, Daniel Tabata, and our coach, Casey McDonald. Sorry about that. But thank you everyone for coming. So we're going to go into a little bit of what we're going to be expecting here today on the Overwatch, a little bit preface on the Overwatch patch notes. Zerocious, can you fill me in a little bit on that?
All right, so as we know, there are the recent patch notes with the winter break that came in through. You have the nerfs from Brigitte, and you have the nerfs on Doomfist, which are major nerfs because people thought that would completely change the meta and how the game is played. Although that's not entirely true, the Brigitte nerf definitely affects how the entire composition plays out, because Brigitte before was able to stun through the shield. So the Reinhardt would get stunned, and that was the go-to. You know, stun the Reinhardt, apply all the pressure and the focus on him, and burst him down. But now that's not possible because Reinhardt can just put his shield and he'll be protected from Brigitte. So having that change alone is going to change how the comp is going to be played out. Other than that, there have been some buffs on McCree, Bastion, and those are pretty much the major changes in the patch notes recently, and that's what we're going to be playing on. You know, unlike Contenders and OWL, we play on the live patch notes.
Right. And we might be seeing, since this is high schoolers, they might be playing a little bit more different from what's been being shown at the meta. But we have been seeing them try to replicate kind of the meta and kind of replicate what is in the higher tiers. Would you expect them to be running GOATs, or would you expect something a little bit different?
GOATs is usually the go-to. You know, if you ask any coach what is the meta that someone should run, it's definitely GOATs, you know. But I've seen some of these players, and some of these players are mechanically skilled on heroes such as Genji, Widowmaker, so we might not see them all the time on GOATs, but we're gonna definitely see a good show through their mechanics on Genji, Widowmaker, and other hit scan and DPS heroes.
Very much so. Thanks, Zerocious. And speaking of the show, today's matchup, our first matchup of the day will be Troy versus La Quinta Pizza Dogs. A very interesting name, I'd like to say. But yes, our first match will be Troy versus La Quinta. It's showing itself to be a very nice and exciting matchup. Daniel, can you fill me in a little bit on Troy? I know that your team has had a little bit of experience against them.
Well, it was a tough loss for all of us. We played our hearts out, but in the end, Troy High School came out better than us, and now they're here. Their team composition is pretty good. I like how they defend. They put up a good fight. Their defense was really well. They also had a good ult combo. They saved it till the end. They made that final push, which in the end made them here to the top 4.
Right, and they were a pretty good team. Especially, I was the caster for your match from Troy versus Westminster. Very impressed with. Huh?
I believe you were.
Oh yeah, it was a very fun matchup to cast. It was fun seeing you guys. Your team did a very good job at playing against them, but it was very interesting to see that even though that they were the lowest seed, they went toe-to-toe with you guys.
Yeah, we were 6-0, I believe, and they were 4-2. But in the end, they came out better. They had the better team comp than we did at that time. I believe they deserved that win. We played our hearts out, and we'll try better next season.
All right, thanks, Daniel. And so now I'd like to ask the La Quinta coach, Casey, knowing some little bit of background on Troy and knowing that they're still a very tough team to beat, we can't count them out yet. How do you think your team, La Quinta, will fare?
I think specific for La Quinta, currently the meta, a lot of GOATs are still good. Specifically, Brig nerf did affect her, but right now she's still being played to kind of do the snowball-y meat grinder comp, where you run at them and you keep, applying pressure. You find an isolated target and kill them. We've practiced a lot against that, so if they bring any GOATs, then they should be adequately prepared. We also have done a lot of practice on El Dorado, the first map for today. So I think that we kind of have our own style, Scholastic. I don't think we run goats too often. We have a McCree player who loves McCree, always tries and plays it with those buffs, definitely helped him a little bit. And currently, for the playoffs, we haven't dropped a single match. We've 3-0'd every team, and we were the lowest seed in this bracket, so I think that we can easily take Troy, but I think it's going to be a tough fight, so in the end.
Very much exciting to hear. I'm very excited to hear all that and kind of everything that's going to be happening soon.
Yeah.
Zerocious, I'd like to ask you, after hearing a little bit, do you think Troy right now, I don't know if you've seen a little bit of background on them, but you think Troy has a very good shot at this?
All right. Excuse me. You're coaching Troy?
Casey,
Okay.
I'm
All
Casey coaching La Quinta.
La Quinta. Okay. So the McCree pick is very interesting because I'm running a lot of McCree in my own games.
Exactly.
And all I do is right click. And it
Right
becomes it's kind of effective against goats, especially if the team the enemy team doesn't play as coordinating as possible. And this is not the Overwatch league, and this is not contenders. So
Exactly.
there's going to be some
Mistakes,
misplays.
yeah.
Exactly. And so you got to pick off those mistakes and the enemy's weaknesses to be able to win these fights. You don't technically have to run the comp all the time.
Exactly.
You just have to know how to win those fights.
I think a lot of people also don't understand the usefulness of flashbang. I think everyone sleeps on it and forgets that if you catch somebody, you can hit multiple people, and then that can end a fight right there. Especially if you all
Absolutely,
collapse
yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah, and you also have the Brigitte stun, so that's a double stun potential, and it is actually that comp is usually called McCree comp. It's not often ran because of the goats being too powerful.
Exactly.
But now with the
power's in line now. Yeah.
Exactly, with the buff, with the McCree buff, we're definitely gonna see some changes. It'll be a very exciting matchup. I can't wait.
Personally, I think there's not going to be too many goats being ran. I think that both teams have their own styles. A lot of Mei's played, a lot of Genji's is played, so I feel on both sides. There's also a Widowmaker main on Troy's side, so they might bring that out if they see an opportunity. We'll see a bunch of interesting comps, hopefully, today for these games.
Yeah, from my background knowledge, when since I've casted like a lot of these guys' teams, a lot of these guys' games, I've been seeing a lot of Genji, a lot of Widowmaker, a lot of kind of like the high risk, high reward kind of
It's
time
pick
plays.
comps basically.
Yeah.
You get one person, and then you force a fight. Exactly.
Yeah, I see it very much ran a lot, and that seems to be the name of the game for most of these teams, correct? So I'm very much hoping to see what these guys can do with sorry a little bit that, and just talk a little bit more about these teams and such. This one's going to be going for Daniel. What do you think about the how the Brigitte nerf is going to affect Troy?
Well, if they run a Reinhardt, then they're probably not going to be able. The Brigitte's not probably going to be able to stun the Reinhardt, since before it could go through the shields. That's going to be one of the causes that might be their downfall. But there's also other ways to kill a Reinhardt. But I don't think it's going to affect them too much. They're going to find a way, for sure.
Yeah, I mean the Brigitte nerfs, technically they are nerfs, but they buffed her healing, which means the fight is only gonna last longer. If we're gonna see goats, all we're gonna see is the fights lasting longer than usual because of the heals. There's no burst potential because the Brigitte Sun cannot go through shields anymore. So we're definitely gonna see the fights extend a little bit longer if we're seeing goats.
Yeah, and I remember that being kind of like the one thing that when I was casting as a play-by-play, these fights last so very long. These guys just don't want to get the healing. Just it allows them to live for so long.
It's crazy.
It
comes to coordination. That's the thing. If you have a coordinated team, it doesn't matter what comps you're running. 4 healers, 3 healers. If you find that one person, you get that pick. Normally the fight falls apart. It's whoever loses their first or second member. That's normally who wins the fight. So if that doesn't happen, it'll just go back and forth for a long time.
Very much so. And these high schoolers are, as we said, not as skilled as kind of like the higher like echelon of like
Open Division, OWL, all that stuff. So you can expect mistakes to happen more clearly, and then you can see people either capitalize, or even if they see the mistake, they don't always capitalize because of the skill level. So it happens.
But hey, mistakes make you better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true, and we're everyone here is going to be, especially the high schoolers, are going to be looking to improve themselves, and we're going to be seeing improvements throughout the day as these guys get better by learning from each other, and these will be best of 5 matches, so they're going to have a lot of time to be able to have ample opportunity to see what the other team is playing.
Yeah.
And so, just a little bit we're going to be wrapping up soon, But just to give a little bit just to mention this before we do go back to the casters, we still are having our little GoFundMe for the Paradise Fires, the California fire relief. We're still going that on our website. If you guys could, we'd like to ask if you could go on our website, be able to check out the link and be able to donate. We're going to be looking to do that. We're going to be looking to provide relief to some of these families affected by the wildfires, be able to give them a nice holiday season. So from bottom of hearts, we'd like to thank you and see if you guys can help out.
Yeah, and I believe if on the stream, you're going to be able to access the link, the donation link through stream right away. I believe just Escamod or Nightbot should link it. I don't know if there's some kind of command that you should put in, but it's definitely in the stream.
It's on the NASEF website as well.
Yeah.
On the NASEF website as well. Thanks, Casey. So we're going to be passing it over to our casters while we start the first game.
Thank you, Anthony. It is I, Matsuda, here, joined with Zinnia. We're going to be casting the game, Troy High School versus La Quinta. What are your thoughts on that matchup?
My school, Westminster High School, played against Troy High School, and they have a notable Doomfist player. With the Doomfist patch being live, his effectiveness in the current meta against GOATs is very, very low. So I am looking forward to see how Troy will be able to counteract La Quinta High School if they do run GOATs.
Yeah, so we're expecting to see a lot more McCrees, especially with that huge buff going over to the Fan to Hammer. So definitely something we have to look out for. In terms of how these teams play, it really just comes down to, especially when it's not professional, it comes down to who has the most synergy and who's able to remain focused throughout the match. Most cases, we can expect a lot more mistakes than usual compared to Owl or any other pro side of the scene. But with this being said, this is the high school finals for NASEF, which is pretty exciting. A lot on the line for these teams. Excited to see whether or not they show up for this match. They're already getting ready. First map is going to be Dorado. So any thoughts on that?
Dorado, Street's phase second point is very hard to push through, and Dorado favors a lot of DPS composition such as Pharaoh Widowmaker, or teams also opt to run the GOATs and just run rampant on the payload.
Yeah, and when we see one team actually has a Widowmaker one trick, so maybe we'll see that come out eventually.
You're right. Let's see what goes on.
Yeah, as we are going to start the game right off the bat, excited to see what these teams are going to be drafting for themselves. On one side, they are available as we see them slowly get ready. And already we see blue side picking up the Brig, Lucio, Zarya, and Doomfist, followed with the Zenyatta yet to see what Kappa Pride locks in for the first round. Most of the time, they're just going to be hovering, seeing whether or not they want to build a composition that they're ready to commit for. What are your speculations on what they're going to go with?
Well, I'm not too sure about that, but we do see on the defense, Doomfist is being played by Widow one trick, so it will be interesting to see how Doomfist matches up against McCree Genji, which we do see on the offense. So actually, on the attacking side, we do see double main tank. We have seen that in the World Cup, but we don't know if that was actually a legitimate strategy or if it was just like to throw it out for the entertainment. We'll have to see how La Quinta High School actually runs this strategy and see if Troy High School will be able to counteract that or just completely run over them.
Yeah, Troy definitely has to play this defense correctly, as we see La Quinta just getting ready, already on spawn, ready to go. Excited for this match, starting in less than 10 seconds. I'm sure these players are nervous out of their minds right now on the big stage themselves, being casted on the stream. A lot of pressure on their heads, especially with finals. This is best of 5, so, you know, I'm expecting maybe to see this go up to 5 maps. Be surprised if see 3-0, but already the game has started attacking already. Payload is already being pushed already as we see Troy High School kind of spacing themselves out, waiting for an opportunity to attack.
You're right. And Doomfist is playing much passive compared to what you would see as last patch. Genji and Doomfist are going to start engaging each other. Troy High School actually pushing back to the choke. Oh, Doomfist.
Oh, has to be careful. The Genji looking for the flank, but right now defense on the side of Troy High School trying to hold against their own. But Theodore is in a bad spot right now as we see XQYA doing a lot of damage on the front. La Quinta is doing so much. Gets taken out. Able to lock down that Reinhardt, allows them some breathing room. Has to be careful. They stop the push. And this allows for Troy High School to kind of recuperate themselves. La Quinta's going to try to take another attempt to maybe get a lot more distance on that payload.
You can see that Baron Bowie is already 70% on his Dragon Blade, and the Sun also is already 75% on her Nano Boost. If we see an early Nano Boost combo, I don't think Kazos is going to be able to build Sound Barrier as quickly as they are recycling their ultimates.
Yeah, and they're just, at this point, this is choke point down the tunnel here. Nice Earth Shatter going through. Not quite, actually, never mind the Lucio. But as we see these fights getting swept up, Lakita getting huge picks, and they're able to get as much distance as they can. I'm not sure if this is enough for them to get towards the checkpoint, but this is really huge. Able to sweep out 4 members on the side of Troy High School is the distance they need to get at least to the first checkpoint.
You're right. And Troy High School won't be able to contest and have to give up point A. As you noticed in that previous fight, XQC and 24/7 actually used their abilities and knocked each other down. And La Quinta High School was actually was able to follow up on the kill on Theodore. And La Quinta High School actually has the Nano Blade still in their hand to be able to use and take the second point.
Yeah, so in terms of ultimates, they're in a really good spot right now. They have, Nano Boost and the Blade, as you said earlier on. And picking off Theodore early off allows them to get a really nice push going on right here. We see Meteor Strike going in from the Widow one trick. It's the Zarya ultimate. This is huge. Wipes out La Quinta High School. The Sun is running for his life as his team gets wiped out. That was beautifully done from Troy High School.
Yeah, that was a clean engagement. But La Quinta High School did not invest any ultimates into that fight, so in this fight, all 6 ultimates will probably be coming out. Kazo does have the Sound Barrier, but that's the only ultimate they will have. Their Reinhardt might actually build their Earth Shatter, but that will be a while until that happens.
Yeah, it's a while, but it does buy them some time. The time is ticking for the side of La Quinta.
Nano Boost goes out.
Nano Boost the Blade as well, trying to get some stuff done, but the Lucy ultimate is keeping them nice and healthy. Darren Boo is trying to do his best. The Reinhardt is able to take out Theodore. XQC is doing a good job. Darren Boo might be going down, does get taken out from Widow one trick as Troy High School is trying to hold their defense up, but La Quinta is just keeping pressing forward. Mongoku takes out Kappa in a nice quick kill, and La Quinta is getting another push off.
That was a sweet engagement by La Quinta. Kazos did use his Sound Barrier to try to counteract the Nano Blade, but there was not enough follow-up on the Genji. So now, La Quinta High School has a Sound Barrier and a Graviton Search, and there is no counterplay to that, unless Kappa or Theodore is able to pull off their own ultimates.
Yeah, and as the analyst desk said, these fights don't last that long as you take out 3 to 4 members quickly, as we see maybe Kappa Pride, maybe looking for a pick, trying to get something off. The Graviton goes out, groups them all together, and they're just going to get wiped out with the McCree. Winter's doing so good. This McCree is just putting in a lot of work. We haven't talked much about Winter's McCree.
You're right.
But from what we've seen, it's been doing a lot of damage, able to stay alive to his teammates, and this allows, nice headshot by the way, able to snipe out Pride like it's nothing.
One observation that I've had is that La Quinta High School has more consistent DPS across the line, running a standard 2-2-2 comp. With Doomfist being nerfed and his damage being mitigated, the only damage source that they really have that's reliable is Zarya, and that's only if she's above 50 charge. And we noticed that the Grav, it is on the side of Troy, but Famsari has the Sound Barrier to counteract. Nanoblade's going to come out soon, as La Quinta High School has 5 ultimates, and
the Meteor Strike combo goes in again, but not able to land it correctly. But this is something that Troy High School has to hold. But Darren Bowie gets the Nano Blade once again, looking for more kills, able to wipe the floor across Troy High School's defense line as Brig is trying to hold herself against it, but is able to take out Darren Bowie. But at what cost? La Quinta just gets another good push. They'll take the losses over this in terms of anything. Mongoku is putting in a lot of work with zoning out Widow one trick.
Picked.
Yeah, getting picked off like that. I'm not sure if the Doomfist is doing too well, as we see a huge Graviton going out from Mongoku. Might be able to wipe out the whole side of Troy High School.
Heat is dropped by Kazo, and they're actually starting to pull it back now. Winter firing some shots into the Reinhardt. Widow one trick actually swapped to the Genji, trying to get some quick dash resets, and looks like Troy High School is actually going to stabilize and hold it for another maybe 2 fights.
Yeah, this is really good. Able to hold it out. They just have to hold out for about 2.5 minutes. I'm not sure if they can do that. They're a little bit low on ultimates. They really got to rely on that Zenyatta ultimate. Pride has to use that at the right moment, able to stabilize themselves during the fight. But for now, they're just establishing this nice choke point on this payload, making sure that Quinta has a hard time approaching them. As we see them trying to zone him out, has to be careful for the flanks, because while Darren Bowie doesn't have ultimate up for Genji, still able to get that nice flank off. And Winter, his role is really just to watch his ultimate. He has to get a really nice one to pick him off. As we see another fight breaks out, La Quinta's trying to get this last
Huge anti-nade by The Sun. Everyone going in. Transcendence not going to heal anyone.
Not able to heal anyone because of that healing grenade going out from the Sun. Nicely done. Negates that Zenyatta ultimate, and they're able to push for maybe this last payload.
XQC got to back out. Ooh, Kazo gets the finishing pick on XQC. So there may be a contesting potential. Grab comes out from Kappa.
Yeah, the Graviton not able to be followed up from any of the ultimates from Troy High School, and La Quinta just has to press forward. Mongoku gets slept, and 24/7 actually does get slept. But right now, Troy High School is on their heels right now. They're just trying to hold themselves together as La Quinta just wants to get this last push in.
Looks like La Quinta is actually going to back out for one more fight. They're coming up on a Graviton Nano Blade, so they could pop all those ults, but Kazo is also coming up on a Sound Barrier. But I don't think Sound Barrier will be enough to protect them against the Nano Blade Graviton threat.
Yeah, they do have to be mindful of that. Nano Blade is going to be a lot of damage coming out from the side of La Quinta, but that's only valuable if La Quinta is able to get behind Troy.
You're right. As I noticed, XQC tends to push up a bit too often without the support of his team, which may or may not be the reason why they aren't able to secure the final point. Less than a minute left. Let's see how both teams will start the engagement.
Yeah, as we see them try to hold down the fort, Mongoku does have Graviton looking for it, but gets stunned from the Reinhardt, pulls him in. The Nano Blade might be going through. They have to clean him up here, but it looks like Baron Bowie is doing a lot of work with that Nano Blade.
Widow One Trick gets two.
Maybe Widow One Trick.
Jedi comes out from Winter, but Kappa is on top of it.
Nicely done. At this point, it's going head-to-head, but La Quinta has to push on the payload. Kappa's down to the last member, trying to hold down the fort while he gives his team some time.
Everyone from Troy gets back, and they end up stabilizing.
This is insane. Troy High School, despite the early game where they were a bit behind, they're able to hold themselves out and able to take the first map for themselves.
That defender's advantage on point C is much more significant to actually recontesting. And the fact that La Quinta High School isn't able to finish them off before respawns come in makes it detrimental to their next attack because they invest all their ults. And now, almost in overtime, we'll see how they contest. Zarya on the McCree.
Yeah, La Quinta's just trying to maybe just finish this off on overtime, just trying to stay on top of it to reset the overtime. As we see, Theodore gets the nice pin, locks down the tank on the side of La Quinta. This might be over. This is going to be the round ending before letting him finish him off. Zenyatta Ultimate keeping Troy High School alive, and that's going to be the end of the game.
Tactical crouching.
First round going over to to Troy High School.
Yeah, so in the first 2 points, we noticed that Troy opted to play the Doomfist to like maybe test the waters.
It was a little bit rough for them though, because the first 2 points are a little bit harder to defend.
You're right. And once Widow One Trick swapped to the Genji, they were able to get more consistent damage, and they were able to farm up their own Blade combo, which is like almost a guaranteed wipeout. So they were able to stabilize with the defender's advantage. But now Troy is on the attack. What comps do you think we're going to see from them?
So comps from Troy, I'm assuming that they're just going to really focus to either stick with the Genji and Ana. I think that was working really good with them. That's the right game plan. Although it worked a lot better, say, for offense. Looking over at La Quinta, I think they're just going to kind of still run the Genji. I think Baron Bowie's Genji was phenomenal. And I think they're just going to keep Winter on something like Brigitte. As we see that Hubbard, maybe switch it to McCree if they need more damage. But in terms of the attack, I think this composition coming out from La Quinta is honestly pretty solid.
You're right. And we notice on the defensive side, we actually have an Ana Lucio Brig. And on the attacking side, we have a Zenyatta Lucio Brig. So Ana provides more sustain than Zenyatta. But the fact that the attacking side has Zen Lucio, they have a lot of options against Graviton, Earth Shatter, or Nano Blade. So we'll have to see how Troy High School will be able to utilize those ultimates to their optimum potential.
Yeah, it definitely comes down to that. As honestly, La Quinta almost had it in the bag, but Troy High School puts out enough effort in that first round. So if anything, Troy High School just has to try to finish the payload, because that's what it came down to it.
You're right.
As we already see the match is already starting here, as Widow One Trick's trying to pick off Baron Bowie. Has to be
Genji's
careful.
going deep.
Oh, it's a 1v1 here, but Widow One Trick does not want to go and commit to that fight. It's a little bit too early for that. As we see Theodore trying to start the slow push towards in favor of his team.
Defending side pushing back to the choke.
Yeah, they just kind of rely on that choke point. Hopefully, it keeps La Quinta off of that, but XQC trying to do his best to hold it down.
XQC gets naded. He's going to go in deep.
Yeah, he's getting naded. He's trying to hold it down, provide a lot of damage, but XQC is able to take out 24/7. Nice pickup there. La Quinta's getting these picks that they need for this defense, but Troy High School has to do something about it. It's really hard for them to defend against it, especially in that tunnel choke point. There's not much Troy High School has to do, but unless they get a nice flank off.
So both sides, both Genjis are coming up on their blade, but Dust Sun with the Nano Boost is able to push off an offensive pull, and Kappa Pride and Kazo are nowhere near their ultimates because that fight ended so quickly.
Yeah. The fight ending quickly is very detrimental, but if La Quinta is able to just hold the defense, this is honestly a really good start for them. If Troy High School just
Exusia with the shatter.
Huge shatter, but that's not really relevant because we see Widow One Trick wipe him out with the Nano Blade. Nicely done, able to get some kills for themselves as Troy High School finally gets a push in.
Baron Bowie actually used the blade to try to pull it back, but it wasn't enough. So Kappa Pride and 24/7 actually have their ults that they could use offensively now. The only thing they have to worry about is Zarya's Graviton Surge, and they know that if their Zarya has it, they probably do too.
Yeah, I mean, Mongoku is pretty close to his Graviton Surge, so definitely something that they have to watch out for and play around. If not, then Mongoku can probably pick something off for his team here, as La Quinta's doing fairly well as we see the Graviton Surge go out from the side of Troy High School, trying to make the offense go in. Theodore is trying to take some much damage.
Massive shatter
down
from Theodore, but there's no follow-up on it.
Yeah, XQC gets taken out. This is really good for La Quinta if they're able to just hold down, because right now it's pretty fairly even in this fight here, as we see 24/7 trying to just push out La Quinta to allow them to push this payload.
One thing that La Quinta is capitalizing on the Discord on their Reinhardt, and they're able to collapse onto him and finish him off. With that, Theodore is able to get off a clean Earth Shatter. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough follow-up on that. Now that La Quinta High School has only 3 ultimates coming into this fight, Grav is dropped by Mongoku.
Yeah, they have the Graviton Surge going on top of Troy High School. Troy High School has to be careful here. They have to respect the fact that La Quinta's looking pretty well in this point of the map here, as we see Theodore charge in, locks down XQC. There's no tank on the side of La Quinta, as Troy High School is making another push.
Kappa just cleaning up both supports, and 24/7 just taking space from them. I think that Troy High School will be able to take this without any more contesting.
Yeah, it's looking really nice for them, and it's a lot faster progress coming in from the side of Troy High School. But it really just comes down to that third checkpoint, as we were saying earlier. And at this point, these teams seem to be playing careful, as we see XQC trying to hold it down, but he's just getting run over by the side of Troy High School. Kazu's doing a lot of work on this Lucio. We haven't been talking about it much.
Yes, you're right. He's his usage of AMP is good for when the teams do need to engage or disengage, but AMP should be used to save someone or to engage on someone. I don't think Exucia is getting the benefits of AMP it up. And what do you think we need to see from the side of La Quinta High School if they want to pull it back?
Honestly, they just have to hold down this checkpoint for up until that 4 minutes, and that's a lot of time.
You're right.
And Troy High School has to really use this time wisely, because if they're reckless with it and they get too comfortable, things can go south. But we see a huge Graviton.
One trick with the 4K!
4 kills!
Oh my
wipes
god.
out the side of La Quinta. Baron Bowie forced to just wait and for his team to regroup. But this is something that Troy High School needed. They needed that nice engage. And if they're able to wipe out 4 members, that fight is in their hands. And Troy High School might be able to win it here. This might be the last fight.
Ult's coming out from both Lucio and Zarya on the red side. And it's just a team wipe. Huge shatter from the Reinhardt on Exucia. And people from La Quinta High School just cleaning them up. They're actually able to stabilize this.
Yeah, this is the last fight. La Quinta has to win it, as we see Windsor trying to hold it down. Gets a kill. Takes out Theodore. There's no advantage here for Troy High School, as we see Kappa Pride get stunned. Might be able to live. He's trying to kite away, but has to be careful, as we see La Quinta just push the defense and keep Troy High School out on the brink of winning.
That was a beautiful execution by the defending team. You notice their Lucio beat sound barriered into the point so that they don't have to worry about shielding, giving Exucia an opportunity to find a shatter on them.
Yeah, that was amazing. It came down to it, and this just shows that La Quinta knows how to take situations when under pressure. They really just got to outshine themselves. They have about 3 minutes left before Troy High School has to push this payload, and they just got to defend it for that long. As we Caso has the ultimate available on Lucio, so this might help him for the final push. But in terms of ultimates, they're pretty low on their side of Troy High School as they go for the final push.
Grav is dropped by the enemy team. Mora uses Coalescence. Blade comes out from Baron Bowie. Let's see how many picks he can get. He get 1, 2. And seems like Widow One Trick is going to be cleaning up everyone up on cart. Now it's just a battle of whether La Quinta High School can go anyone that can actually contest the point. And no, that does not happen. Troy High School takes the first map, Dorado.
So honestly, Widow One Trick was phenomenal on that Genji. I think he just sticks on that, aside from the Doomfist, because I think his Doomfist was a little bit lackluster, as we saw during the defense. But his Genji made Baron Bowie's Genji look like he was playing from a different league.
You're right. As soon as Widow One Trick made the switch from the Doomfist, he was able to put much more value into his with his team. And what do you think La Quinta High School had to do to counter Widow One Trick? Was it Widow One Trick himself, or do you think the whole team